Hi, everyone. Hey, I had to switch over because I had a little bit of problems with my camera, as usual. As you guys know me, I'm an artist, right? So, hey, you guys, today is a really exciting subject that I want to talk to you guys about. And so, what I want to talk about today is I've been an artist for 35 years, and I found all the different traps and all the different stumbling blocks that I have to get there. So, I want to talk today about the three essential steps to being a successful artist and jeweler. A lot of us are jewelers on here, but this actually goes for all artists. So, I think the other one, this goes for all artists. So, I want to say, and we'll see with people jumping on. I've got a live chat. I know I had to switch over to this one, so we'll see. Maybe this one is always here to watch later. Okay, so um, being an artist and a jeweler has its complexities. And because actually being an artist is a lifestyle. It's not just about going to work and coming home. Hi, you guys. I'm glad you found me. I had to switch over to a different platform. So it's about, being an artist is a whole lifestyle. It is when you're walking, you're breathing, and you're living your life as an artist. There's no separation from there's no separation like going to work, coming home from work. My work, and in fact, when I show a lot of my film in the studio, I always show my walking, my hiking, my nature, so many different things, because that all has to do with the type of work that you're doing here in the studio. Now, your life as an artist can be the most beautiful thing that you've ever done, right? It could really bring you freedom. It could bring you all the freedom. It could bring you your money. It could bring you your success. It could bring you everything. Or it could be really tormenting, as we know from a lot of artists throughout time. Like, for instance, even the most obvious is Van Gogh, who did this incredible work, went out, captured ideas and concepts from the world, brought them in through himself, through his body, and then manufactured and produced this beautiful work. And hey, you guys, pop in and say hi if you want to. I know it was a little bit hard to find me today. I'm glad to be here, though. So I'm talking today about the three essential steps to being an artist or a jeweler, because a lot of us are jewelers here. But really, I'm trained as an artist. I trained at the Art Institute of Chicago, and then I graduated from Southern Illinois University in art and psychology. So more in the fiber end of things. So you see a lot of fiber and a lot of movement, and for me. So through my life, I have produced a lot of products, lines of jewelry, been in museum exhibits, been in commercial work. So I am telling my story here that has to do with all my past experience and what I know now. Oh my gosh, if I had this information now, I would be so much happier and less tormented. So what if you could have it all as an artist? What if you could have it all as an inventor? What if you can have your success, your money, everything that you wanted to in, really driving your brand and your work out into the world? Whether you want something big or small, maybe you just want to be able to sell to your friends, so it doesn't matter. But what if you could live your dreams? It's just in understanding. So understand this: your work is you. When you are doing your work, you are actually, it's hard not to be all wrapped up into what the outcome will be, right? Because we're putting our heart and our soul into our work, and we're putting it out there in the world. It's hard to stand in front of an event and have people not like what they're seeing, So, if you're working authentically, you're going to have the success. And this is what I want to talk about today. There's three essential steps to being successful. One of them is mastering your craft. And I'm going to get more and more detail in just a minute into each one of these categories. And this is actually deciding what field you're going into, how deep you're going to go, how you're going to study it, really knowing and understanding your medium inside out so you could be successful with what you're producing, right? Well, that's just one part of being an artist. I think when we go to art school, that's part of going to art school and learning our craft and getting good at something and being familiar with it, which I'll get more into detail. But this is just one part of being an artist. There's a lot more to it. There's two other parts. The other side of it, which I love and is my passion, and you guys hear me talking about this all the time here on YouTube, this is the invisible side. That's number two, is the invisible side. What is the invisible side? It's 80% of what it takes to be an artist. Is that crazy? It is the marketing. It's the manifesting. It's like bringing in exactly what you want to do. It's bringing in love and happiness and joy and all of that into your life to be able to, then when you're in this 80% of creating behind the scenes in your mind, then you could bring things into the physical. With the third is the action step, and that's only 20%. And that's the business part of it. So that actually is the, really getting into where you're going, what you want to do in life. There's so many different avenues and facets for this. So let me start by talking about, I think I'm going to start backwards. I'm going to start by talking about the business of our work. How about that? And hey, you guys, pop in and say hi if you can. Oh, good, Ashley. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. I always love to see you guys here, because then I know, in your questions and what you guys are asking, because then it helps me out on what I'm talking about. But these three steps are so cool. I know, it's not sometimes the most exciting, but it really is so true. Me looking back on my career from 35 years ago, all of these steps are essential. So think about this. This is the business side of it, you guys. In business, why am I starting with this one first? I don't know. I planned on starting with the other one. So think about this. In business, there's so many different directions you want to go. So actually, I'm going to jump back into mastering your content. Mastering your content, your craft. So this is what I want to say to you is, you guys, every single jeweler, every single artist has a complete different setup in their studio. I've been doing silversmithing 35 years, and I still have people write to me sometimes. It's so funny. They're like, oh my gosh, you're using too much solder. Oh my gosh, you're using the wrong tool. I had someone that actually turned their back and was like, you are using the wrong torch. And I had a bunch of people jump on me about a torch. And to me, I was like, oh my gosh, okay. I've won awards with my work. I have done a runway. I've done commercial lines. I've done museum exhibits. And it's so funny to me that somebody would talk about using the wrong torch, right? We all have our own process, and we get there in our own way. So it doesn't really matter what tools we have. You just have to make your tools your own, right? Hi, wonderful, from Montreal. Where else are you guys from? So nice to see you guys. Yay. There's a lot of people from Canada coming in and here in the US. So let me know where you guys are from. So it's like so I put together this program of intentional metalsmithing that actually I was traveling all the time. And I like to spend a lot of time. The ancients made incredible jewelry without our sophisticated tools. Yay, because that's what I want to talk about today, CB. That's exactly what I want to talk about. And I have a couple books here that are an example. So, when you're in your studio, you want to make sure, it's like I see people who are heavy on the tools. They have beautiful studios. They have a lot of tools, but yet they're not disciplined and going into their studio 2 or 3 times a week. This is a discipline to learn your craft, and to get better and better and deeper at it. You want to make sure when you can, not when you're vacationing or when people are in, but you want to be able to get into your studio for 2 or 3 days a week. I was just in my studio yesterday and I had a great breakthrough. You know how fabulous those breakthroughs, sometimes you get to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, I think I'm done here. I want to go home, but it's early, and I stayed on and I pushed myself through that, and I had this great breakthrough. And in fact, I'm wearing my earrings today that make me so happy. They have the leaves on the bottom. They have a lot of movement and joins, and it's like, this is me. it has my colors and my gems that I love. When you get a look that feels like you and feels like it's coming from you, that is mastering your techniques, not only in skills, but in doing what you want to do. So you want to go in 2 or 3 times a week. And it's interesting. It's like in a minute, I want to talk about all the different fields that you could go into when you're in silversmithing. But exactly that. This was the book that I actually learned on. So I'm trained as an artist, and I'm learned my silversmithing I went to the studio, did a little bit, but I really mastered it on my own. I love, I love anyone who has mastered their jewelry on their own. In fact, in my book, in my book, Intentional Metalsmithing, I talk a lot about this, but a lot of the artists that I use are all artists who have gone in and they have mastered their technique in their own studio and done something different. And, in talking about mastering and working on your own work, I have to tell you guys, I've been teaching for 35 years, and so I've seen so much. I saw a person once, this woman, she just learned enamel. I was teaching enamel. She learned enamel. She went into her studio and she started burning the enamel and throwing things in there. And in the 60s, that's what people did. They had this real exploratory nature. So they were throwing threads and leaves and burning on top of their enamel work, their glass enamel. And what happened is the work is so interesting and it can reflect nature. So this woman did things like that, and she put it into an international contest, and she won first place. Is that crazy? The only way your work is going to be noticed is that's one of the ways. If you take a risk and do something out of the ordinary with your work. It's like, for me, people love wearing small jewelry. I build big jewelry. I build, for runway. You want your work to be noticed in runway and all different things like that. Let's see. This is Vivi. Hi, I'm from Australia. I find some of my favorite tools I made myself out of nails and other broken tools. I love that. Thank you for saying that, Vivi. It's so true. It's like when you make your own jewelry, you have your own hand in things. I'm all about energy. Many of us artists were all about energy. Work that was done back in time was all hand done. There is no wheel. It's polished and everything is hand done. In fact, I know traditional jewelers that do all their work by hand. What I love about that idea is that your work, you're putting so much energy and love into your work, it can't help but to shine out in the world. If you think about it this way, you guys, we're actually work with Reiki. We work with energy. When we're in our studio, we want to be clear because we're working different ways with our work. So I want to tell you, so I'm finishing up that story, like on jewelry. When I download in the morning, I have my writing and I just start writing and download everywhere. And then I have to try to find different areas. How about having fun, you guys? If you're in your studio and you're not having fun, you're not in your passion. Being an artist and doing this type of work is really getting into this love and in this fun. And that's a part I wanted to add, like with Van Gogh. When I talked earlier about, you could either be in this great state while you're in here building your own work. The more authentic you become, the more you love to show up and do your work. If you're filling orders, it's not that exciting, right? So it's like, it's important for us as artists to stay in that creative space and do our work. So how do you stay there is by doing your work that feels good. Okay, so blah, 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 blah. Let me see. So what I wanted to say was, for me, with oh no, that's with ice resin there. Yeah, so the way to win awards. So for me, it's like, I want to say, if you're taking a risk with the work that you're producing, you're on the right track. If you're about to launch a body of work that you've done and you're nervous, that means that you've put your real work into your body of work, and it's going to be received. People can find you easier. It's going to be received by your people beautifully. So you won't have to worry about that. So, okay. So I do want to say, so this is the part of mastering your craft. And what I have, and this, so mastering your craft, and maybe I'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. This was a nice flow. So with your tools, this was my first book that I started with. This is how I learned. I don't even know if this book around anymore, but in here, I want to show you guys, this was volume one. There was a couple volumes. I remember when I bought this, I could hardly afford volume one. But in here, you see on page one, this is Native American Indian in the Southwest in the United States. And I think this is from 1870 to 1920. Bellows. There's bellows that were used. You're working on open fire with coal. Look at the work that was produced. And this is for solder work with dapping. You know, this is like a Native American simple tool set here. I'll have to get a photo of that and send it forward. And let me make sure there's not even, oh, it's by Oscar T. Branson. And, you know, just some dies. A lot of times I've seen work where dies were done and they were in rocks, you know, where you're dapping your stones, you're dapping a lot of your work there. So this is work. The thing is that the more tools you have in the studio, the more generic your work becomes. Boom, that's it. The less tools that you have taken away, the more you will have to put your heart and soul into your work, and your work will be different and individual. And that's what you're really looking for, to be able to, you know, have your work stand out. We all need that, to have our work stand out. This was also a book that I love. This is called Legacy by Matthew Chamy. He was a French man. I remember I bought this book years ago. This is published by Tim McRae. I love the piece on the front because I was like, I'd wear that as a piece of jewelry. Wouldn't this look great? So in here, if you guys don't have this book, I have to highly recommend it. This Matthew goes all over Africa, East Africa, West Africa, and really gets into the craft of many different artists who do beautiful, beautiful work. I have beautiful collections of Moroccan jewelry. You know, this is filigree that's done here, hollow forms that are done here. You know, and just really with simple tools. There actually is, there is one man in here, because I read this cover to cover. There's one man in here that he has 3 tools that have been handed down from generation to generation. And he would go into his studio and do his work. And at night when he would leave, he would soak his hammer in water, because the wood part of his hammer, he needed to swell. And it was so hot during the day, he'd get in there and work his hammer during the day and soak it at night. So, you know, that's kind of interesting in that way. But this book I'd have to highly recommend. If you need to be inspired on really not being attached to buying the newest and greatest tools and really inventing your own. And I love that, Vivi, that you're inventing your own tools. If you need to be inspired in that way, either one of these 2 books would be amazing. My thing is, I love to travel all around the world. And my last travels were in Indonesia, where I was in Morocco last, overseas. And India, I have India coming up, but India and Morocco again. But in Indonesia, I could visit all these different factories. They were professional factories that were making pieces that are on the market here. Beautiful filigree work. They had a foot pump that would pump oxygen into just a regular flame. There was not a torch. They were picking berries from the tree and using it as flux. I thought that was so amazing. And on their tables were beautiful little shrines and pieces like that that kept their spirits happy, kept their inspiration happy. So that's good. I'm going to talk about when we get into the second one again, the invisible part of it all. So let me see. And then we'll talk about the business last. 1220. Okay. So I might get more into that in the end. Let's see. The second thing I want to talk about, you guys, which I have been so talking so much about lately, and that's the invisible part. So being an artist, being a jeweler, learning your craft, learning your tools, that's every day. We're in our studio. If you can get in there 2 to 3 times a week, you're going to develop a body of work for yourself that people will recognize as you. Look, even for as long as I've been a jeweler, when I go into building a body of work, and I have a lot out here on this channel about building a body of work because I'm in there doing it again. The only way to get into a new body of work is through your old body of work. So for me, I'm working through some of my pieces that I have done in the past. But it's like for me, yes, this is a great shape, but there's a few things different in here that are, I like doing flow, I like doing movement. There's a few things different in here that are helping me move inch by inch into a new body of work. For one, I love using fiber, but these pieces are more to nature for me, and they're bringing things in. So for me, this pair of earrings when I built this yesterday, I was like, even though somebody might say, that looks like your work, Susan. For me, I'm getting closer and closer. So this invisible side of things, you guys, is 80% of working with manifesting. Let me find it here. It's your marketing, it's your manifesting, it's your voice, it's who you are, it's what direction you want to go. It's who am I authentically? It's how can I have fun in my life? How can I enjoy my life? How can I bring love, happiness? How can I express myself through a trauma that I've had? When you go in to see art events, it's so interesting because you will see, I love going to college graduate art events because for one, you can get beautiful art pieces for such a great price, right? But also two, when you're in college, you take that risk. You take risks, and you're literally learning to purge out your inner trauma and put it into your canvas or put it into your jewelry. And there's always examples of that around. So think about that when you're going and looking at an art museum. I think I'm going to do a little talk on here on just how to look at art in an art museum. I think it'd be so interesting, So this is all the invisible. Your feelings, your subconscious can't help but to come out in your work. It's like lately, as I'm restarting my life, I'm in this little fragile, wispier place, So for me, it's like my work is kind of naturey and raw and authentic, and sometimes a little fragile. I'm seeing that in my work. It's not these big, bold pieces, I'm wearing my lemon quartz to have my strength and power with me. I'm using my symbolism and my strength to stay with me. This is the 80%. It literally is a lot of letting go of your old ways, bringing in your new ways, is what this 80% is all about. Manifesting. What do you want to manifest? When I work with people on so you guys have heard a lot of the manifesting here. This is because it's just the one part of being an artist. It's the second part of being an artist. After you get, beyond getting or at the same time of maybe it goes first, maybe it goes second. These are not necessarily in order. Some people start with business, they move into the technique, and then they move into the manifesting, or, it could go any direction. So when you're ready for the 80% of what do I want? We have ideas stuck on us from what our parents wanted. Or for me, it's like I had ideas on me for how can I make the most money, when I built ice resin, or what do my parents want out of me? I was from, my grandfather was a Polish immigrant family. They came here, they lost everything in Poland and came here. So it's like, he just really wanted to build and make a name, and he sent that down through the generations, So for me, I was like, I have to build something big. I have to keep going. But now what I'm asking myself, which is this 80% invisible, is what do I want as an artist to make me happy? Who do I want to be? And there's so many different areas, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute when we get into the business side of things. So the manifesting and the 80% is this invisible part. And here's a question for you for that. What if you could have it all? What would all be? What if you could have it all? What would all of it be? These are the type of questions that we ask you when we get into, hey, good morning, folks. Hi, thanks for joining us. Good. Nice to see you here. So your work is you. Your jewelry work is you. So, when you're in this 80% manifesting, you're making sure, or you're 80% of the invisible, you're making sure you stay in your own space. You show up in front of your studio clear. You show up in your creativity. I talked about it last week. There's only two states you can be in, either one of survival, where you're scared and in panic, and the second one is in creativity. We need to be in our creativity. And if you guys need to, you can check that one out. That's a different one here. So, when you're in your authenticity, like attracts like, and you will be successful. And that's what my unfolding program is all about, is this invisible side that leads to love, happiness, joy, keeping your vibration high, balance, so you can get your work done. It's so interesting because I find now as I get into this, I'm so deep into this 80% of the invisible, into really getting clear. Really, I've done so much energy work with shaman and with talisman. I've studied talisman for 40 years, with shaman, with Kundalini yoga, with energy work, with all of this type of work that I've done, where I clear before I get into my studio. I clear, so I'm not picking up other people's energies, other people's work. I'm here to do my work. And you know what I find? I have so much efficiency to get the job done. It's crazy. So, it brings in your passion. When you have your passion, you have everything. When you have your creativity, you have everything. When you have your love, you have everything, right? So it's like this whole other side of it, this 80% of the invisible, is all about keeping your temperance, keeping your balance. So as we're creatives, we're deep into this. We're deep into this inventing world. We're usually by ourselves in our head. It's really good to connect in a community. And that's the community that I have here for Unfolding, because I realized there was a big hole in my space when I was in my studio by myself, coming up with incredible work that was really getting out there in the world. When you're deep into it, like Van Gogh, like myself, when I was doing runway work and I was doing lines of jewelry for, that were multi-million-dollar lines of jewelry, it's so easy to get off balance. Community heals. Somebody, being with a group of people heals. So I have my Unfolding group, and I meet with people live, and it really is like the Artist Way. Have you guys ever been in the Artist Way? It's the Artist Way, but it's a brand new way of presenting. This is, I show just a lot of breath work. There's simple breath work that I show. And, that when I'm in there, of just like grounding yourself. I used to be in my studio. My kids were in sports and doing things, and I'd be in my studio inventing up here in my head, and I'd walk out the door and I'd have to be with people. And I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot how to watch a game. I know now how to ground. When I'm showing up here with you guys, I am so grounded, roots into the earth. And that's what you need to be an artist. You need your head in the sky and your roots deep in the earth. And with my community that we have in Unfolding, that is subscribing in here, it's actually just $25 a month, but you actually, we meet with each other. We have a chat group. We stay with each other. We stay grounded. So now your invisible part, I'm showing breath work and energy work and just a little bit of movement. Look, as Americans, Australians, like as European-based people in Mexico and Canada, as European-based people, which are most of my followers, we have a lot, our spirituality and our religions that we followed left us with a lot of guilt, shame, all this buried on top of us, And any of them really, but I found from India, from South America, there's all these different techniques that help you clear and stay clean, so you can stay so focused as an artist. One, to be really proficient and get a lot of work done. Two, to be clearing yourself and have a good time. Guess what, you guys, as artists, it's about having fun. Isn't that a great statement? Like, let's have fun in our life. Oh my gosh, I'm just going to have fun. And my whole new thing that I started about a year ago is I am only doing business through my heart. How about that? And look, I've had a lot of, I'm not being naive. I've had a lot of ups and downs and problems in my life. I've had, everything you can think of. I've been through it. And that's why I'm here talking to you today about the direct path to being successful as an artist. If there was just really, most people I see, they go in, they build their pieces, they stick them up on their social media, and they sell them slowly but surely in that way, right? Did you guys ever think that there are millions of other exciting ways that might fit you better to sell, create, and do your jewelry? Let's get into the business side of things now. So those are the other two. So the business side of things is, what I like to do is when you're really getting into who you are and your authenticity, who you are. It's like, here's some questions for you. Are you, are you building, that's for your craft. Okay. I was going to say it as a craft, but this is actually the business, this is probably all three of them together. So the business side is really your putting together a plan, like putting together a solid plan. Know your field, know your industry, know your people, know who you are. And for me, you guys, I really just don't like to do too much of that type of work, because really the manifesting is all what it's about. This outside business, the money, how's coming in, you do have to have a solid plan. So when you're ready with the other two, when you've manifested what you want to bring in, then you build the foundation of your business with your accountants, with your business plan, putting a business plan together. I actually have a course in that as well, and that's really selling, marketing, all of that. But how about this question? Did you guys ever think of this? You don't just, if you're in your studio building, what is your passion? What would you love to do? Would you like to do retail? And there's a whole different categories for retail. Would you like to do wholesale? There's a whole lineup for wholesale, you guys. Or would you like to manufacture? Those are just three different ways to do things. And I have done all three of those. Not to brag, I'm just telling you that that I love what I love when I pick all three of them. I love wholesale. Love wholesale. Retail is all about talking to people, finding things out, one-of-a-kind pieces, personally different pieces. In retail, guess what, you guys? You only have to have 1,000 people follow to buy your work to make $1 million. Is that crazy? 1,000 times. If 1,000 people spent $1,000, how much money is that? Maybe that's not right. 100,000. 100,000. If you have 1,000 followers that will buy your work, or 2,000 followers that will buy a $500 piece, you've got your yearly income done there, So isn't that interesting? You don't need that much. We think we need all the social media, more. We really just need some good, solid people. And then you take care of your people in retail. You take care of them and you set your business up accordingly, right? So think about this, though. Do you like doing, do you like exhibiting? Do you like showing up at a retail event, and selling your retail? Do you like putting your work on your site and selling it retail? Or do you like, I love wholesale events. I go to wholesale events. You could also do things like there's Hollywood sets. How about that? I want to talk, there's Hollywood sets, there's stylists that can put your work on Coachella. I've had my work in Coachella just dripping and draping, beautiful pieces. You have to really put your work out there and, really build from your heart. When you're doing different work, your work will be noticed. I promise you. Right now, there's a lot of people that are big stores, stylists that are always combing our social media. So, I also have loved performance work. I've done a lot of jewelry. I've spent a lot of time, like really where there's been no electricity, up in the mountains in Southeast Asia, and they're way back in time, not now. I traveled for many, many years. I believe, okay, I love this. I truly believe that energy follows thought. Absolutely, totally follows thought. And is that Pam? I think that's Pam, isn't it? So absolutely. So, this is all about, and this is what I am doing with my life. And let's see, 4 or 5 years ago, I started on this path of building and really trying it out for myself to make sure that what I'm saying is working. And it's been really, really so interesting for me because as I'm building the things that are coming out of my mouth, I have learned through time. I built companies years ago without knowing anything about manifesting and what things were about there. I made a lot of mistakes from my unfolding class. Yay, that you love. Candace. Oh my God, Candace, I love you. I love getting letters. Thanks for joining me, Candace. Yeah, you guys. So the unfolding program is all about that artist way. It's about a creativity course. You guys are welcome to, if you get on your computer, you can jump down and you can join, and it's $25 a month and try it out. We're actually working right now on passion. There's an amazing work in there to get to your passion. This month is this amazing work, or next month, when you get into August 1st, you'll have it on manifesting. And I'm telling you, this isn't smoke and mirrors. I'm using it. My stuff is strongly rolling out into place. And it's been really, really fun and really, really interesting to see. So as you guys see my success, you know that my program's working, right? And there's a lot of things that are coming for me right now, like big breakthroughs and a lot of new work and a lot of new partnerships coming in for me. And this is the path that I followed. I followed the path that I'm offering to you guys. And it really is that 80%. So think about where do you fit in? What feels good to you? What would you love? Do you want to be, it's like for me, I love wholesale in a lot of ways because I love working with business people. I love doing multiples. I love managing bigger groups, and that works well for me. So find out what you love. This is like what I work with people on. And there's actually a course that I have coming soon. I have all these different courses that I wrote years ago. So there's a course that I have for pathfinding, and that is like getting to your true calling. It's called branding alignment, but it's aligning to yourself. But you guys, if you guys are going to start, I don't want to get into all these different courses right now. I'm going to say, if you guys are a jeweler or an artist, the place to start would be an unfolding. It's $25 a month. And I have one more course that I'm offering. This is the only time I'm offering it this year. You guys will hear me talk more and more about it. And it's about mastering your craft. So it actually is with the first setup. It's called Intentional Metalsmithing, and a lot of people have taken it from me. I've had beautiful reviews, and I got to mentor people into profound work. It's an online course, and I'm going to be mentoring people again. This is my first time in 3 years that I'm getting on board and mentoring people week by week on your work and growing your work as an individual. This is specifically about your work and fitting into what type of work that you do and allowing you this freedom. So if you guys want to, this sounds interesting to you, for my intentional metalsmithing course, pop on. You can get to it in my profile, and go ahead and get on the wait list if you're interested in just hearing more about the course. But pop on. You can get there from my link tree, and it's intentional metalsmithing, and it's a profound course that really, really, I've had almost every single person that was in that course got into their real self, and it's been amazing. Your real self, doing your authentic work. Yes, at first you're going to use a lot of my ideas that I show you, and that's perfectly normal when you're doing your work. Perfectly normal as a silversmith. So for your business, so for all of this, it's like what fits you, and intentional metalsmithing gets you into that too. Do you love doing large blowout pieces? Do you love doing tiny goldsmithing and silversmithing? Do you love doing repairs? That's really good money. Repairs in goldsmithing, creating gold pieces, diamond rings, for people getting married, for occasions like that. That's, if you really like money, and you like kind of this route of like the technical stuff. Alan Revere used to teach a whole course like on the craft side, and I mean superb craft of silversmithing. of like getting your superb craft of silversmithing down. I like to teach building your own line, building your own work as an artist. That's what I teach. And that's what intentional metalsmithing is about. Really getting in touch with your profound self. And that course, you guys are going to start hearing more and more about it. We're just actually getting that up and rolling. And I think September, we'll get the signups going soon. And I'm going to start it either in August or in September. I'll have more word for you guys there, but check it out. It is a profound class. And if you guys have been jumping around, taking different classes from people, and you feel like you want to get something linear, it's always good. Even in fact, when people were in my intentional metalsmithing class, it's an online course that I teach. It's very reasonable. I would ask them not to take a bunch of classes right now and to, just to dive deep into this profound study. And at the end of it, because it's 7 workshops that are progressive and they slowly work you through one by one, you learn a little bit more and a little bit more, and it frees your brain. You get out of a box and you get into your creativity and you explore, and that's what this course really is all about. And I'm super excited. I actually had a lot of people who are brand new here, and I had a lot of people that were bringing up to me the course, and I had it hidden away. And I had quite a few people that were like, hey, can I take your intentional metalsmithing? So, it's been kind of cool pulling that out again. I'm glad that I'm doing that. So, that's the kind of things. I show up for an hour a week and I talk about, I talk about like getting to your real self as an artist, how to stay in your creativity, getting to all of that. So you want to keep your energy moving. You want to stay in creativity. If you guys like this community here, I want us to be very, very strong. In fact, creating this group has helped me to be strong in my core. And then in September, we're actually going to be doing more with Discord, which Discord is where we could show up like this, but we can all see each other on Discord. That'll be in September from Unfolding. So your work is you. So it's hard not to get wrapped up in if someone likes your work or doesn't like your work, right? That's the hard part of being an artist. And as an artist, we are the heartbeat of the world. We create all things. Everyone can be creative. Every single person in the world can be creative. And guess what? It's way more fun to be in than survival. You're either in creativity or survival. Bam, that's it. So if you're in survival, you're worried about, maybe, it's this, you're worried about your money, you're worried about people are going to like your stuff, you're worried about this, you're worried about that, blah, blah. It's all this mind gets in the way. Creativity. And every single day, you guys, what I'm showing and unfolding, every single day we get in and we just clear this little bit. And it gets easier and easier, but we kind of take things in from other people. We're empaths. We take things in from other people and we bring it into ourselves and we feel like it's our own. So it really is putting up boundaries, becoming the best self that you can be. Is how you can really be a profound artist and really staying with your authentic work. The more authentic you are, the more successful you'll be as an artist, as a creator, as a jeweler, and as an inventor. You can do anything. If you can stay in this creative space, you can create anything. And unfolding, you guys, really is all about manifesting. Really, when I looked at it at the end, it's all about shedding energies that we don't want, bringing in energies that we do want. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. Let me see. Do you guys have any questions about today? Yay, it's so true. So yes, so it is really true. So one thing I want you guys to do is like, here, this is what I wanted to show you guys today. This little pattern here, it's crazy. For some reason, I do a lot of hollow forms. Love hollow forms. Some of you guys have been in my workshops and my classes. Love hollow forms. And when I do hollow forms, it's one of my courses in there on how really to master it. You can do large, you can do small. And, they're putting on sheet metal on both sides. For some reason, I was in this crazy mood and I came into my studio and I was like, I'm going to try to build a hollow form in a whole different direction. And normally I don't make these out. So here was my hollow form and it's soldered over here and it looked like this. And then I put the bezel strip around it, which if you don't know silversmithing, it's not going to seem like anything. But the craziest thing is that this piece, because I did it backwards and upside down and because I did it wrong, it was beautiful. I could have sold that piece for so much money. I ended up wanting to keep it because it was different. And I promised myself I'm going to go back in and try it again backwards and upside down, right? So I challenge you guys today to try something backwards and upside down when you're in your studio, whether you're an artist, a jeweler, try something backwards and upside down. And next Wednesday, I am here. I'm going to actually talk about tools in the studio. I'm going to talk more about, tools in the studio, your techniques in the studio, getting deeper into ideas in the studio, all about this one area. So, each month each week that I meet, next week is all about this learning your skills. So I'm going to talk all about the silversmithing, being in the studio. And if you guys like this here, you guys will also I've started with these in the studio, So if you guys want to get in and learn a linear, direct way and study under me, intentional metalsmithing is going to be the way that it is. So I hope you guys check that out. And I think a couple of you guys have been in there, but if you haven't, this is the only time this year that I'm opening it and mentoring people. So I hope to see you guys there. So enjoy being in your studio, you guys. Enjoy being in your studio. And thank you for joining my community. And I think I've said what I wanted to say. So think about all that. It was nice having you guys here. Do you guys have any questions about anything? Aw, all right, you guys. Okay. Enjoy your studio, enjoy your jewelry work, and I will talk to you very soon. Put some comments in if you guys have things that you want to hear me talk about with the tools next week. Bye.